Hello, welcome. I'm Giovanni Hall Art. It could be a chill stream today. I'm just doing a little work on my Seiko drawing, if I'm saying that right. And just gonna have a chill one. We'll be playing some true crime podcast in the background. Well, not true crime, playing in the background. A chill session. Alright, let's get into it. Also, if you'd like to see, feel free to follow me on Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, X, TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, and Patreon for more. Links are in the bios. Alright.
It's the middle of the day in South Korea. South Koreans are busy. They're rushing to their next place. They're heading to work. They're grabbing lunch. They're picking up the kids from school. Everybody's minding their own business, except there's this one man, an American guy named Ramsey. He's looking side to side. Maybe it's hindsight. It just appears that he's up to no good. He's live streaming on his phone. And eventually, when he puts his backpack, he puts his phone down and props it up, the live stream viewers can see this female figure in front of Ramsey. And he pulls out his portable speaker and he just starts blasting a song in the middle of a public street in broad daylight. The lyrics of the song go, "Last night, I couldn't even get an answer. I tried to call, but my pride wouldn't let me dial." It's a song titled Last Night by Diddy. P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, whatever you want to call him. The American man, Ramsey, he starts slowly walking up to the figure of that woman and he starts stripping off his shirt until he's shirtless in the middle of the street, grabbing a bottle of baby oil. And he just starts smearing it all over his chest in broad daylight in the middle of Seoul. A whole crowd of Koreans form, passerbys. He's trying to rub his butt up against the female figure. He's trying to dance all up on this female figure, rubbing baby oil onto her. And the Koreans are screaming at him in Korean. And he's screaming back in English. He doesn't stop dancing. He just screams back. And it seems like he's screaming more towards his live streaming audience. I think these people are about to call the police on me. But for what? For what? What did I do wrong? I'm just trying to show her love. Because of what? I'm trying to show my love to her.
Like what Diddy always says? Like,
Yeah.
Show some love?
Yeah, well, I think KVD said that mainly, but yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So eventually the crowd becomes very angry that he stops dancing with the figure of the woman. He puts his shirt back on and he sits down. This is all live streamed, and all of it would go viral in South Korea, making it to the news, making it to a congressional hearing, making him the #1 target for all South Koreans. Because the figure that he's rubbing baby oil on whilst playing Diddy's songs, I mean, the implication being very clear there, the woman that he's doing this to is a bronze statue. She is there to memorialize the hundreds of thousands of girls and women that were essayed and tortured during the war. Girls and women that were essayed 40 to 60 times per day for years for the quote-unquote comfort of soldiers. This video will go viral and Ramsey will be hunted on the streets of South Korea. By day 35 in South Korea, Ramsey will have been beaten on the streets multiple times with busted eyebrows, busted lips. And the very interesting part is, he's not free to leave South Korea. The authorities have confiscated his passport. They're opening an investigation into him. He's stuck in South Korea, in a nation where he is being hunted for sport. This is the story of Ramsey Khalid Ismail, otherwise known as Johnny Somali, the most hated American guy in South Korea.
Despicable. Can't stand that guy. I really hope he gets prison time.
We would like to thank today's sponsors who have made it possible for Rotten Mango to support Palestine Children's Relief Fund. They are a volunteer-based group that provides free medical care and humanitarian aid to thousands of injured, abused, and abandoned children. This episode's partnerships have also made it possible to support Rotten Mango's growing team. And we'd also like to thank you guys, our listeners, for your continued support as we work on our mission to be worthy advocates. As always, full show notes are available at rottenmangopodcast.com. Some quick disclaimers for today's case. There's mentions of essay, trafficking, slavery, and if that's too heavy, please take care, stay safe. And for general disclaimers, I want to be very clear that any discussions about specific countries Their history or mentions of wrongdoings is not an effort to degrade their people nor their culture, just like how Americans do not want to be identified by our politicians' decisions or our government's decisions, much of which we strongly oppose. The same goes for every other country, nor is it meant to single out any specific region, because historically, I think every single region and country has a past that they are not proud of and should not be proud of. And one last brief note, the American streamer goes by the name Johnny Somali. His Wikipedia page states that he's half Somali, but he has done a video where he states that he's half Ethiopian and Yemeni. It does not appear that he's Somali, and regardless, if he's Somali or not, many Somalis are frustrated that he's putting Somali as his username because it's making them look bad. And it's not even just like a small group of TikTokers being like, hee, look at this guy. It's becoming an international issue. So for the purpose of this video, he's Johnny Salami, if we're talking about his username.
Salami?
Like the meat. Because he's not Johnny Somali. I don't think that we should keep using his username. Additionally, I will be referring to him as his real government name, which is Ramzi Khalid Ishmael. His name is Ramzi, and he is an American national. Perhaps he immigrated when he was younger. Honestly, I can't be too certain, but he does hold a U.S. passport. He's a U.S. citizen, and he's an American. We will be calling him by his real name, Ramzi Khalid Ishmael. So with that being said, let's get started. Do you know the game Where's Waldo? You look for a certain figure in a busy crowd, and when you find him, you win the game. It's like a big game of hide and seek. This is taking place in real life right now in South Korea. But instead of looking for Waldo in the red and white striped shirt, South Koreans are looking for this American streamer named Ramzi. One netizen comment reads, Ramzi's biggest mistake was that he let South Koreans turn their anger into a game of Ramzi catch. When anger and gaming skills are combined, there is no country in the world that can beat South Korea. And Ramzi's trying to be discreet, or at least he's thinking he is. He's wearing all black, which during the colder months, most Koreans do love an all black look. It's sleek, it's subtle, it goes with everything, it doesn't make you stand out. Ramzi's gone ahead and he's paired it with a black beanie. He's in a quiet part of Seoul, near a bunch of alleyways with his two friends, but that doesn't stop him from being hunted.
Two friends, are they American too, or they're Koreans?
One of them is an American, the other one is, I believe, a Korean national that got deported from America and was arrested in America for firearms violations. But he's ethnically Korean. The other one is American.
But they're all from America, so they traveled here together, right?
I think the Korean now lives there because he's been deported.
Wow, okay.
Now, every single day that Ramzi is staying in South Korea, there is a bounty out for him. Albeit it's a rather small bounty, $770 for his whereabouts, but perhaps that's more insulting than anything. He's walking down an alleyway when he hears them. They're coming for him, the Koreans. He starts running for his life because the streets are relatively empty. Nobody's out. There's nobody that he can scream to save him. And even if he did at this point, who's to say that they're not just going to jump in and start beating him too? Honestly, maybe he's thinking that. Maybe it's radio silence up here while he's running away. I'm not sure. But there's this big Korean man that's chasing after him, just running down the alleyway after him. And once he reaches Ramzi, the Korean man grabs the back of Ramzi's jacket and slams him over his shoulder, smack onto the cold street pavement, and kicks him square in the chest and face. The whole thing is being recorded, and once it's uploaded, I've never seen a whole nation of people so united in asking, why not more? Do it some more. What is happening right now? Why is violence being condoned? What is happening to the American Ramzi in South Korea right now? I mean, South Korea has a notorious bullying problem, and one netizen comments, finally, Korean bullying problem pointed in the right direction. The whole nation is pretty much unanimously angry at Ramzi. He is the nation's punching bag. There's clips of Ramzi and his friend Gino, another American streamer, and they're walking down this other alleyway. They're both in real life streamers, IRL streamers.
Are they streaming on like Twitch or what's going on?
They got banned on Twitch. Then they went on Kick, or at least Ramzi went on Kick. He got banned on Kick. He got banned from YouTube. He's on Rumble now, I believe.
Oh.
He just keeps getting banned. But they're both IRL streamers, meaning they like to go around and explore new towns or countries while streaming on their phones using, I think, Starlink to get cell reception. And they just like walk around different towns. I mean, most of them just have these long selfie sticks in their phones streaming in real time on the street. It's interesting because they're both streaming together. So you get two perspectives of the same incident. They're standing on the side of the street in South Korea and it's nighttime, but it's still fairly early. So there's people everywhere. When out of nowhere, Ramsey's stream takes a tumble. It's like he dropped his phone and it goes black for a moment. What the hell just happened? Just mid-sentence, he's gonna cut out his stream? But you can see it on his friend's perspective, Gino's stream. Ramsey did not just randomly decide to drop his phone. He was standing on the side of the street when a man walks up to him, a Korean man, and just punches him, decks Ramsey in the face before walking away. Not even running away. He is walking away in the most calm manner, hands in his pockets, like nothing just occurred. Given zero context at all, if you don't know what's going on, you could say, if we live in a contextless, nuanceless world, just judging by this clip, this was an unprompted, unprovoked attack. You could say that, but the comments would read otherwise. Top comments read,
That is crazy.
Captain Korea. That's the guy's name now. We love him. Someone buy the guy a beer. Perfect landing, good execution of punch. Now do it again. Translated comments by South Korean netizens read, because of patriots like that, the dignity of the country shall be maintained. Others read, he should have hit more. He should be honored with the Brave Citizen Award, actually. So what the hell did Ramsey do that would warrant all of this? Is it just because he danced with a statue? What's going on? Prior to coming to South Korea, Ramsey had gone on this world tour of sorts, just making Americans look bad. That is his whole thing. But his antics really start in Japan. He live streams himself out in Japan, harassing citizens, doing the most obnoxious, racist things. And because the world is depressing, he actually gains so much attention doing that. Versus when he's just out vlogging and showing off what he's eating, nobody cares. And
When was Japan?
end of 2023.
Was this the one that we saw? Was
On
the
the
guy
subway station.
went to like an all-female subway and then?
Oh,
or
that's
was
a
that-
different man.
Okay, okay.
No, some of these IRL streamers are ruining Japan.
That is crazy. So
Yeah.
there's like this is a trend that people do.
And there are Japanese citizens protesting tourists. They're like, we actually despise you. Please never come.
Wow.
Yeah. It's so bad. It's so bad. I mean,
sad.
obviously tourism is great in any country, but not this type of tourism. Ramsey would go onto the subways in Japan and say that everybody is shooting him dirty ass looks on the subway. He's insinuating that all the Japanese people are aggressively mean and are racist, but it's because you're live streaming and waving a camera around, which by the way, he keeps saying everyone's shooting me dirty looks as if they're all the problem, but they're not. Eventually, he straight up tells his own viewers that he's not trying to give the foreigners a good image in Japan. He's out here trying to give foreigners a bad image. He says, I'm not a role model. He also proceeds to call everyone in Japan an NPC. He will literally walk around live streaming saying, crazy, these are all just NPCs out here. They're all NPCs, bro, all NPCs. Which, side note, NPC stands for non-playable character in games, like the ones that stand on the side offering you a side quest. When there were women that refused to be on his live stream, he made fun of them, saying that they didn't want to be on camera because they used too much filters, so now they can't show their real faces. Just being straight up racist and misogynistic. One could potentially argue that Ramsey himself is the one that could benefit from overusage of filters, but it does not stop him from just being blatantly rude and disregarding another country's culture and norms. He will live stream himself walking into restaurants where everything is in Japanese, because he's in Japan. And he starts aggressively shaking menus, pointing at the menu, saying everything is in this Mulan language.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
He would walk around getting drunk, screaming on the streets, we're here to destroy Japanese society. Drop a nuke emoji in the chat. Chat, drop a nuke emoji. But by far, the most viral for all the wrong reasons clip of Ramsey is him sitting inside a subway car in Japan. There's a Japanese man sitting next to him, minding his own business, when Ramsey looks to him and says, Hiroshima.
Hiroshima.
The guy looks confused because why are you just telling me a random city in Japan? That's like me walking up to someone and being like, Philadelphia. It's so random. He takes off his earbuds and he looks confused, and Ramsey double downs. You know Hiroshima? Yeah. Nagasaki? Okay, now the man looks uncomfortable because yes, both of those places are cities, but also the two cities that the US bombed during World War II, killing over 250,000 people, most of whom were civilians. And now you have an American. I mean, obviously the Japanese man at this point wouldn't know his nationality, but you can presume that he's an American, just sitting there asking him if he knows about these two cities. Johnny continues, why you do this? Pearl Harbor. Then he starts screaming on the train, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, you know why we do this to you, right? Because you don't know how to behave. I swear to God, you do again, we do again. Do you understand? Hiroshima, Nagasaki, we do again.
You know Hiroshima, Nagasaki? We're gonna do again. What? Hiroshima, Nagasaki.
Which none of the Japanese people on the train do anything because for one, maybe they just don't want to give him the time of day, or two, I would honestly be kind of scared. Is he saying he has something on the train? Is he saying he's going to do it again on the train? It's a bit scary to even react. But one American walks up to him, a Korean American. Why don't you leave this guy alone? Just leave him alone, man. What do you mean? The Korean American asks him, where are you from, man? I'm from America. You're from America? So am I. Yeah, you're being obnoxious, dude. You know what we do to you? The Korean American man is confused. What do you do? Because they're both American. We will do it again. Do what? Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Which is just racist on top of racist at this point. But Ramsey keeps questioning him that he's from America until the Korean American man says, I'm from Texas, buddy. But Ramsey continues asking him what his ethnicity is. I'm Korean. Then sit down, brother. Why don't you sit your ass down? Okay, then Korean War, you know what happened to you.
That's freaking crazy.
The Korean American man just tries to tell him, come on, you're being obnoxious. Leave the guy alone. Speaking about the Japanese guy. Korean War, North Korean War, you know what we did to you.
Korean War, North Korean War, you know what we did to you.
This is one of the first clips of Ramsey's to go viral, and once he realizes that everyone hates him, he starts live streaming angrily in the streets of Japan again. So prior to this, he's not getting much attention. This is the clip that blows up. Everyone on X is talking about him, and he's upset. He's live streaming. Everybody's mad at me. I don't give a shit. Don't take shit too seriously. More haters is more views is more money. More haters is the more eyes watching. More eyes watching is more money. You know what I mean?
Just keep streaming and get rich and get super rich, and just that's gonna piss everybody off. That's how you fucking win over these normies.
Haters are my motivators, you know? The more haters, the better. And I can just tell you, as someone who also posts on the internet, when you hear someone say that, that means they are very bothered. He says, the more haters, the better. The more viewers, the better. I love every single one of my haters, bro. You know what I mean? We don't know what you mean. Which is good, I guess, because Johnny will meet many of his haters. After that video clip of him screaming Hiroshima, Nagasaki, screaming at employees, calling the Japanese language Mulan language goes viral, he's still in Japan live streaming. Naturally, he starts getting confronted. A middle-aged man flicks him off and starts ramming his bike into Ramsey. Another time he gets confronted in an alleyway, completely alone at night, by a man on a motorcycle. Suddenly, big, bad, tough Johnny Somali on the subway, he's gone.
Hey, chill out.
He's straight live streaming?
Yes, he's like, chill. I didn't even say anything. I was just saying what the chat told me to say. You know, I'm trying to make money. I'm just trying to make money. I'm just trying to make a living. The guy gets off his motorcycle and starts stalking him, walking behind him in the alleyway. He takes off his helmet. He wants to understand, why would you say that? Why?
Somebody give me money, and they said, say it. No. So I said it on the train.
Somebody gave me money to say it. They gave me money, okay, to say it. Understand? I understand, but it's not good, the Japanese man says in English. Johnny then proceeds to tell the police, because he calls the police on him, that the man threatened him because he's a member of the Yakuza, which is, again, just so bizarre. There's another incident where he runs into a Japanese streamer, Miyako, and he is so aggressive with her, just popping up, trying to interact with her. She's taken aback. She's streaming in real time on Twitch. And he warns her, oh, you just showed me on your stream? You know, on Twitch, if you even show the face of a banned Twitch streamer, you're going to get banned. Because you're platforming somebody that's banned. This is her livelihood. Mm-hmm. So later in the stream, she breaks down crying, which I was thinking about too. It's not even just he is threatening her livelihood and making her scared, but imagine being a Japanese streamer. And I think she lives in Belgium, but besides the point, she's Japanese, right? You run into this notorious streamer now for all the wrong reasons who has attacked Japan. And it's a feeling of, I should have said something or done something or told him it's not okay, condemn his actions while everybody's watching because I'm Japanese, this is what I stand for, but also how terrifying is it? You're taken aback because you weren't prepared to run into him and now you're scared and now you could lose your livelihood, or everybody could be mad at you for not saying anything, but in that moment you were so scared to say anything, and the pressure of it all is just coming down on her. Later, she tweets thanking her viewers for being kind, and she said, "We worked quickly with Twitch staff to avoid having our account banned. I burst into tears because there was just so much going on, but I hope he leaves Japan soon. I felt helpless as I couldn't do anything even though he was right in front of my face. Thank you everyone for your concern." Which, side note, Ramsey has apologized before in Japan multiple times. There is one clip of him bowing down, like a full proper bow, but I will say any apology he gives is pretty much fake. He apologizes twice in Japan, but he's not sorry. He only apologizes when he's about to get beaten. He only apologizes when he thinks he's about to get arrested. And after he leaves Japan, he starts talking very negatively about Japan after his apologies. To give you context, one of his more known apologies in Japan came after he was choked out on the street by a stranger. So clearly, he's not actually sorry. But immediately after that, after his apology, he goes to Disneyland Japan and starts IRL streaming, which is, first of all, not allowed on any Disneyland properties. But he wore his speaker on his shirt so that his followers can donate. So at certain platforms, when you have IRL streaming, you can have viewers donate in real time. If they donate a certain amount, they can have automated text or they can have some sort of sound song play on his speaker.
Okay.
Now, a lot of streamers won't do that because you're inviting people to donate just so they can say very explicit things that you have to now witness and listen and everybody has to see you react to. It's just, it's not the best thing to do, I would say.
I see.
Unless you have a really good community of people, which clearly he does not. But he wears this speaker on his shirt. His followers are donating and they're typing whatever they want it to say and play out loud. And of course, naturally, the smooth-brained crowd of people, they keep playing things like Sucky Sucky, Atomic Bomb, and actually as explicit noises in Japan at the Disneyland. He would also go around moaning, quote, anime sounds, like stereotypical anime, really explicit type of noises, I guess.
He's making that noise himself
Yes.
out of his own mouth?
Yes, just aggressively making those noises in public while stalking high schoolers in Japan. He does ultimately get confronted by a group of Japanese streamers who find out where he's staying. He half apologizes, not really. He just states that he has autism, which I don't think he does, but also crazy. And because of the language barrier, they believe that he's apologized and they walk off. There's another incident where he's dancing on a crosswalk and a man, a stranger, just walks up to him and slaps him so hard across his face that his hat gets knocked off his head. And he's always traveling with this little minion of his named Gino IRL, a fellow American streamer. He is Ramsey 2.0. He's probably most well known for his stunts in Thailand. He actually tries named Gino IRL, a fellow American streamer. He is Ramsey 2.0. He's probably most well known for his stunts in Thailand. He actually tries the whole deplorable foreigner traveling in other people's countries and doing things that they wouldn't dare in their home country type of act in Thailand. There's this whole bit where Gino tries it in Thailand, which is very, I don't know if you can call it satisfying per se, but it's a very interesting clip of Gino. He's with Ramsey. Later that day, they separate and he's walking around. He's walking down this busy street in Thailand and there's these rows of restaurants and tons of civilians eating dinner on the side of the road. He's live streaming while walking. He says, "I don't care what it is. I just want to," and he says, "Gut your ass alive." He swings to the side as he's saying this, out of view from the live stream, but he likely either pushed something or someone or pushed a chair, or perhaps he got into a stranger's face that's just casually eating dinner at a restaurant. It's unclear. But Gino walks away after that because he just loves acting like he's so big, bad, and tough. The belief here is either the Thai people, the people of this country, will not understand what he said in English, or perhaps they are just generally too busy to care for a speck of dust like him. I'm not sure what he thought was going to happen. I've only known my Thai friends to be very patient and tolerant, but not until you disrespect them, which I find this very disrespectful. He keeps walking, thinking he's this big bad boy, and when you see a glimpse from the screen, it's like the whole restaurant came out and they're following him now. There's like 20 people walking out after him.
So they fully understood what he said.
I mean, I don't know if they, I think so. I mean, most of them were speaking English, but also you just don't do that. Even if you said something very nice, I just want to love you. It's the body language, the tone, it was bad. It's like you want to fight.
So he's walking away knowing that there's a bunch of people following him.
He doesn't know until he finally looks at his screen, sees a bunch of them just following him, zoned in, zeroed in, staring at the back of his head. And he turns around and he starts.
Yeah, I didn't mean to destroy property.
You don't do like
I know. I'm sorry.
You don't need money. You don't do like this in here.
I'm sorry.
Gino then starts apologizing. They give him a lecture and they let him go because they're good people. This is his little sidekick. This is his minion. The two of them, they travel from country to country together, IRL streaming. And now Ramsey and Gino are walking down the street when they're confronted by this woman. This is in Japan now. And she's asking him to answer for his racist comments. Ramsey and Gino, they turn around and they start calling the woman racist, accusing them of being racist on their stream and on the middle of the street. Eventually, they start walking away from the woman, and you see another foreigner who's standing there. He looks like maybe European, I'm not sure. He's standing there witnessing all of this, smoking a cigarette. He kind of side-eyes Ramsey and Gino, and then out of nowhere, he just decks Gino in the face, decks him out so hard that immediately Gino gets a donation from a sub.
What?
Yeah, so, okay.
Wait, what?
I don't know what they did in their settings, but every time Gino and Ramsey get a donation, they play a Mario sound where Mario gets a coin or something. Like the ding sound. And right when he gets decked in the face, someone subs. So it's like you punch Mario and you got a coin.
Oh my god.
Is the implication.
Whoa.
I thought for the longest time it was a post-edit. That other people were editing that noise in while re-uploading them getting decked in the face, but it actually happened in real time.
So it just matched perfectly.
Yes.
And it sounds like he got punched.
Yes.
For a gold coin. Got it.
And Johnny is completely still processing what just happened. He doesn't try to run. He doesn't try to fight back. He doesn't help his friend Gino. Instead, Ramsey then gets knocked in the face. Yeah. I'm so sorry. Johnny and Ramsey are the same person. It's just very confusing because all the research I did is like Johnny, but I'm trying to use his government name Ramsey because I feel like it's better for him to be shamed. And then he comes and decks Ramsey in the face. Ramsey, by the way, was not even trying to hide, was not trying to run, was not trying to help his friend Gino, was not trying to fight back. Ramsey just waits to get punched in the face. Ramsey then drops his phone and you hear someone donate to the live stream as well. But people start donating and they decide to do the text-to-speech donation. So instead of the Mario coin sound effect, you get an automated voice saying, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, while he's out cold.
Anonymous sent $3 Hiroshima, Nagasaki, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, Hiroshima, Nagasaki.
And then you just hear the claps of people nearby. They're clapping that these two were just punched in the face. Netizens have since commented on this video stating, dude, God bless that guy. Hit him so hard Mario got a coin. Another comment reads, as a Japanese person, I cannot describe how grateful I am to this guy. Violence is bad, but there is always an exception. I feel great. Another comment reads, the fact that some native Japanese people clapped when these guys got decked says a lot, if you know, considering how public situations are usually treated here. But what do you expect from this guy? This is the same guy where there is a video of Ramsey hitting on minors. He promptly titled this video, Johnny Somali becomes P. Diddy. Yes. And it's him live streaming on the street, hitting on girls. Finally, they ask the girls how old they are. They are 16 and 17. He lies to them that he's 19, but he's actually 23. And he says it's fine because the age of consent in that area is 16. He straight up tells these girls he doesn't care how old they are because he's ready to go to jail. He doesn't give a f. He tells the girls, I'm going to groom you. He literally says, I will groom you.
I go to jail. I got wife number 1 and wife number 2. I don't give a f.
Do they fully understand what he's saying?
Yes, and they're getting freaked out. He's kissing their hands. He starts trying to get their numbers and says, hey, call me Johnny 16, call me Johnny 17. I don't give a f. I'm like P. Diddy, I'm like Epstein, I'm like R. Kelly, I don't care. Age is just but a number. You need an older man with some money. I'm not from here, so I'll take the chick and leave, like Diddy. I'll get on a plane and leave, like Diddy, and I'm out.
I take a plane, I leave like Diddy. Like Diddy, like Diddy.
Side note, he has also said about women before in the past that they are, quote, they are lower life forms only to be used for breeding, shouldn't vote, shouldn't speak. Regardless, by the end of 2023, Ramsey is arrested in Japan. When he is finally released, he is deported from Japan and has a travel ban so that he cannot travel to Japan for the next 5 years. Eventually, he ends up in South Korea, where some would say that there are certain things that you just don't poke fun at. There are certain boundaries that just cannot be crossed. And for each country, those boundaries are different. For Korea, that is the plight of comfort women. Side note, I know that comfort woman itself is a very strange term to those that are unfamiliar, but it is the most recognized term in South Korea for what happened to these women. There are comfort woman victims and survivors in places like China, Philippines, Taiwan, Malaysia, Indonesia, just pretty much all over Asia. There are victims and survivors from all those countries, and many of them have decided that they don't like to be referred to euphemistically as comfort women. They like to be labeled as slave victims or survivors. In South Korea, many of the comfort women have spoken up and said that they kind of prefer the softness of this term. And many of Koreans know this terminology better. So to change the terminology in Korea, it would just cause more confusion rather than anything. But they are literal victims of repeated torture and essay. This term is not used to make light of what happened, obviously. The comfort woman refers to the hundreds of thousands of girls and women who were forced into slavery by the Japanese military during World War II. It's stated by many sources, like I said, that many of the victims were Korean, Chinese, Filipino, Indonesian, Malaysian, Taiwanese, Thai, Vietnamese, amongst other places. It is probably one of the most painful parts of South Korean history, but it's also one of the most controversial because somehow it becomes politically divisive. Certain leaders of Japan have tried to rewrite history with one big excuse being, where is the evidence? It's pretty well acknowledged by many that Japan destroyed many documents, including ones regarding the comfort woman station, so that's not really the best argument to make by these politicians. If you destroy the evidence, then you ask where's the evidence, it's not going to go over well. It's just not. It's also hard when 90% of the comfort women were killed so that they could not live to tell their tale.
And most of them are very, 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 very old now.
Yes, most of them have passed.
Yeah.
There's only like a handful of them throughout Asia, and they're in their 90s. The UN's Global Tribunal on Violation of Women's Human Rights estimated that by the end of World War II, 90% of the, quote, comfort women have passed during the war. We're talking hundreds of thousands of women enslaved, taken to remote foreign territories under brutal conditions, forced to be essayed with as many as 40 soldiers per day. If the women survived, they were shamed to not talk about what happened. They were terrified. And many passed away from complications from the violent abuse that they endured, from the STIs that were left untreated. Others self-exited. One of the survivors, Lee, she was running an errand for her parents when out of nowhere, a car pulls up on the street, stops, every door flings open, a group of uniformed men drag her into the car. She's 14 years old. She is then taken to a, quote, comfort station in the Japanese-occupied China, where she's forced to, quote, serve Japanese soldiers. Another Korean survivor, Kim, she was 15 when she was forced into a, quote, comfort station. She states that she was taken to a station in China for Japanese soldiers. So side note, a little bit of history, because during World War II, Japan occupied a significant portion of China as well as most of South Korea. She gets to the station. She's asked for her age. She states she's 15. They don't care. Army medics come to examine all the girls that are brought there, and they thought they were coming here to work to create uniforms for soldiers. Not that they had a choice even then. Japan is occupying Korea. During the war, they were forcing Korean men, just pulling kids, male kids, students out of schools to fight for the Japanese Imperial Army. They were pulling girls out of their homes to work in factories. Many of them were not taken to factories. They were taken to comfort stations, and even then, they had no choice. There was no such thing as no. They would strip the family of everything and exile them from Korea. Where would they go? They have no belongings, no money, no resources. Where do they go? The world is in a war. Nobody wants to take anybody. After the examination by the army medics, she tries to fight back, but they beat her. They essay her. There was blood everywhere because she was so young. She and a few other girls huddled together that night and thought, we can't live like this. Wouldn't it be better to not live? They tried to gather all the money that their parents had given them to buy one bottle of liquor, somehow smuggle it in, and they tried to self-exit. One of them was left unconscious for days, but they ended up surviving, and they thought, if we survived, that is a sign that we need to live and we need to tell someone what happened to us. She says every day they were essayed, sometimes from 8 in the morning till 6 p.m., noon till 6 p.m. There would be a line of soldiers outside. She says, quote, if there was a delay in one of the essays, the guy next in line would start banging on the door. It was continuous. It happened so many times a day that I lost count. By 5 p.m., I couldn't even get up. I could not walk properly. My entire lower body was in pain. At the end of the night, the medics would come and treat us where they felt we needed to be treated, and they would inject us with random shots. This was their lives for 8 years. When she was finally reunited with her family, she said, how could I have told them about my experience? I mean, Korea was in shambles after World War II. As a woman, I had things done to me that were unfathomable, so I couldn't say anything to anybody. They all thought I had worked at a factory. But eventually, because I didn't want to get married, my mother wanted to find out, why don't you want to get married? She pushed me to be honest with her. And the survivor devastatingly states, I confess that given all the abuse done to my body, I had a rotten body, and I didn't want to screw up another man's life being a rotten body next to him. It should just be my problem alone. Eventually, her mother suffered a heart attack and passed away because there was nobody that she could tell either. I mean, you're talking about this is right after the war. I feel like we barely care about women's rights now. I mean, think about back then and right after a war when everybody's in shambles, there was nothing she could do. Many of them have scars all over their bodies. One victim was beaten with a hot spatula on her chest. Many of them have severe damage and complications to their private areas. Feet that were permanently injured because they were constantly bound by tight ropes to be tied up so that they could not try to run. One Japanese military document that exists states some Japanese soldiers actually referred to comfort stations, which is already such a crazy way to refer to the war crime buildings as comfort stations, but they referred to them as public toilets. Some of the girls taken were so young that they didn't even have their menstrual cycles yet. One girl taken from the East Timor area says, I was still a child and did not have my periods yet. She was forced to be essayed by 4 to 8 soldiers a night, and during the day she was forced to build a road. So she was used for labor and for abuse. She gave birth to a baby girl at this station, but the military took the child away. She says she felt ashamed her entire life and is still waiting an apology from the Japanese government. One Chinese survivor saw her parents get murdered in front of her. She was gang essayed right there by more than a dozen soldiers on the spot beside her parents' lifeless bodies. She was 16 years old. After that, she was dragged away to this comfort station to be essayed every single day. It is estimated that many of the victims were essayed 40 to 60 times per day. One Filipino survivor states, there was no rest. They essayed me every minute. Another survivor states, I was in a different room every night. They flayed us with a horse's whip. She said sometimes she would be essayed until she lost consciousness.
That's crazy talk.
She was 12. Another Filipino survivor states, we cried, we pleaded for compassion. Their bestial hearts only craved satisfaction. At the age of 14, I was poisoned. If I could prevent the sun from setting, I would have, because whenever night fell, they would start raping us. Everything is still so clear to me, ingrained in my brain, even if my body is now weak. Another victim states, even with the passage of 75 years, the question of women in the war is not solved at all. After all the suffering that I have been through, I have to stand my ground until I get the justice that I deserve. Side note, Japan did acknowledge the atrocities in 1993, but it gets very complicated later on because South Korea and many other countries did not feel like their apology was adequate. Considering the gravity of the war crimes committed,
Feel free to check out my
Japan
Patreon.
condemned the request for more
I
apologies.
think it's going good so far.
They're like, we apologize. What more
It's
do
a
you
chill
want?
session
You're also
today
not a perfect
on the
person.
podcast.
There's a lot of
But feel free to
whataboutism
check
that
out
they
my
bring up. Like,
Patreon.
what about what South Korea did to blah, 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 and so and so. Additionally, the
For
two
more
countries are already quite
variation
in
of artwork.
contentious predicaments over territory, amongst other things. But Japan states that they believe that the comfort woman issue was, quote, finally and irreversibly settled. But South Korea believes that's already not good enough. And additionally, because it was settled does not mean anything. It does not erase what happened. South Korea refuses to stop acknowledging it and never wants it to be forgotten, because you can ask for forgiveness, but that doesn't mean that South Korea has
Links
to
in the
accept your
bio.
apology, especially if it doesn't feel sincere, nor does it mean that they're going to forget what happened, which has resulted in many statues to be installed all over the world, including in front of many Japanese consulates and embassies, which Osaka, the Japanese city, and San Francisco in America are known as sister cities, which is largely ceremonial, but still. Japan cut those ties as sister cities after a comfort woman statue was installed in San Francisco. They have a heavy Asian population, and Japan stated that the comfort woman monument destroyed the two sides' relationship of trust. The statue depicts 3 young women from Korea, China, and the Philippines, the areas most affected, standing in a circle and holding hands. The inscription reads on the side of the statue, "The monument bears witness to the suffering of hundreds of thousands of women and girls, euphemistically called comfort women, who were actually enslaved by the Japanese imperial."
No, I said links are in the bio. Feel free to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Patreon, Twitch, YouTube, all that good stuff.
Armed forces in 13 Asian
And
Pacific
welcome.
countries from 1931 to 1945. A Japanese official wrote a 10-page letter stating that inscription, quote, presents uncertain and one-sided claims as historical facts.
Wow.
Side note, I do want to mention from what I can see online, even in Japan, it appears to be a divisive topic. Many younger Japanese netizens have stated they didn't even know that the Imperial Army did this because it's been wiped from their textbooks. They don't teach this in school, or they kind of make it seem like, yeah, women were tortured during war, but like all war, every country does it, you know, of course. It's just what happens. It's the nature of war. But many of them did not realize how bad it was. The older generations, they're pretty split. I would say most of the older generations think that it's bad and think that it should be resolved, but there are still other contentious arguments between certain countries that also need different types of handling. But a big group of Japanese right-wing politicians and their supporters believe that South Korea and the world needs to get over
Sorry to hear that.
it. They deny Japan's role in it.
Nice dress. And tons of cash back, too. What?
Hopefully you can get your phone back.
It's a shopping app that saves you money.
Because phones are expensive these days.
They just list all the things South Korea has done wrong. They also dispute what happened in Nanjing, China. Yeah, which we have a whole episode on. So I would say it's definitely a small group of Japanese netizens who know everything and still deny it. And then I would say like the younger people in Japan probably haven't even heard of it, really. One survivor states, I want a formal apology. They should say, what we did was completely wrong and we will correct our history textbooks. And say to us, we sincerely apologize. If they wrote that kind of formal apology, then we can forgive them. This is not about money. I mean, first of all, they're like 90 years old. This is not about money. They keep trying to make the issue go away, and we are the ones that are constantly fighting so that doesn't happen. It's history. She says, because Japan's government keeps dragging it out, I have to keep talking about it over and over again. And each time I'm heartbroken beyond
I
belief.
just want to do the other version of this
in my
one.
90s, I'm supposed to be in peace.
I'll be posting the finished artwork on my Instagram and my Twitter. I just want to finish the other versions of this. So yeah, we're done. I think I'm going to do some more characters after. But yeah, Dandadan was episode 7 was crazy. Anyone seen that? Pretty good. You saw episode 7? That's great. Alright. Alright, I hope you guys like what I see. And thanks for stopping by and joining the chat for everyone's watching. Appreciate it. You guys have a good night. Bye.